Hey everyone! So, a while back I had promised, and I was asked to, create a video of what are my most used or favorite colored pencil sets. So, I'm going to go with my top 5, and I'm going to kind of show some examples and also explain why they are in my top 5. So, we are going to go in order. My number 1 favorite pencil, if you've watched my channel even like twice, you should know, but Prisma. Prisma is my favorite pencil. They get a bad rap due to breakage and quality issues. However, if you order them from the right place, you should not have that problem. I've been using these for a while now. And specifically for adult coloring, I've been using them for 7 years. I would say, yeah, about that. So I've been using these a lot. They do go on sale on Amazon. You just need to make sure it's a good seller when you're getting that 150 pack. I also buy them open stock from Blick only. I've never had an issue. Blick quality controls the pencils before they even throw them in their open stock bins. As you can see, mine are well used, other than the neons. I keep them there, I guess, for completion of the set. I don't know. Same with the metallics. But I have quite a few down to the nub. A few are missing because I'm working on a project. But these are my favorite. And also, I should probably show you my spares, shouldn't I? I use my Prismas so much that I have this entire bin dedicated to open stock spares because I know I'll go through them. In fact, only this caddy here is non-Prismacolor. Everything else is Prisma. So I use them a lot. Obviously, I even have a box here to add up here. I got this for like an amazing deal, so I had to buy it. Okay, so let's talk colors. I have yet to find a set of pencils that has the range and versatility of the Prismacolor line. Are they missing some colors? Sometimes, but in all honesty, I've never found myself feeling without. I've always been happy. I could color an entire page with these. I rarely supplement. I love them. They blend great. They are the actual definition to me of a creamy, soft pencil. They can blend, they can layer, you can use them both ways. So if you enjoy layering, these can be layered. A lot of people think that they blend more than they layer, but you can do both. Quite a few artists out there have videos on layering them, building up your layers. When I do my skin tones, I mean, I'm doing multiple layers and they work just fine. Yes, you will get wax bloom, but you get wax bloom with pretty much any wax-based pencil. Yes, I know all pencils are wax and oil. Always got to throw out this disclaimer. However, if I call something wax-based, I'm just meaning it's leaning predominantly that way, because they either predominantly lean oil or wax, even though they contain both. So, are we done with the disclaimers? Okay. But yes, I love everything about it. The blues are beautiful. Purples are great. Very rarely does a pencil set have a good selection of purples. The greens are great. I mean, they're the only ones that give you so many grays and you're like, oh, why would I need those? You do. Trust me. I love everything. I just wish they would get rid of the neons and the metallics and fill them with something more useful. So I use these quite a bit. For example, this lovely lady here, her skin was done with the Prismacolor. The sunflowers are done with the Prismacolor, so is her dress. I love that they're opaque, but you know, you can lightly layer them and build up your color, just as I did here with her skin. Let's see if I can find. Here's another example. I colored this whole thing with Prismacolor and enjoyed every minute of it. They are just incredibly satisfying to use for me. I even have a book that I am doing only in Prismacolor from cover to cover. I mean, see the vibrancy. Gorgeous pencils. I love them. I have no complaints. I have yet to find a paper that doesn't love them back either. They work on toothy paper, they work on smooth paper. For me, I love them. And like I said, I don't have the quality control issues that I hear so many complaints about. They do have a surprising number of pencils that are artist preferred light fast ratings. So they aren't a bad set. But yeah, this is definitely my number one. So let's move on to what my number two is. Now, I'm going to put out a disclaimer. 2, 3, 4, and 5 are kind of based on my mood and what I've been working on. So for the last year-ish, these are what I've been grabbing for the most. But who knows, 2 years from now, 2, 3, 4, and 5 may be different pencils. This will probably never not be number one. So let's move on to number two. Okay, in this massive pencil case, I have most of my other sets of pencils that I use a lot. My Prismas, I could just not take them out of that case because I love it so much. So I moved my other pencils that I tend to use as much into this one humongous case. That way, they're all there and I can just carry this case around in my Prisma case and I'm not walking around with like 5 cases. So, number two, oh, we're on the color chart, is the Faber-Castell Polychromos. I have been surprisingly using these a lot more than I used to. They're quite hard. They're nowhere near soft at all, like my Prismacolors. That said, I enjoy using them a lot. I use them for hair. I also use them for coloring. However, as of late, I've been using them a lot more for coloring, especially in like my Maria Trolle books. That's what this one is here. So here's an example of one I colored with just my Polychromos. I wonder if we have a couple others in here. Now I only use Polychromos in these Maria Trolle books, but except that one. That was a Holbein attempt and I did not like it. But here's another one with Polychromos. So I do really like the polys. I use them, like I said, quite frequently. I also use them for hair. In fact, let me grab it. This is in a live stream, this lovely gal, all done in Polychromos. Her hair, her outfit, and everything. I normally don't do skin with Polychromos, but this time I was feeling crazy, I guess we'll say. But the hair, I love using them in hair. And that one is hung up, or on the wall, I should say, is one of my favorites. But yes, I do love the polys. They layer nice. They are more an oil-based pencil, so they're more transparent. You can add tons of layers. I love using them in books like Maria Trolle. Hannah Carlson books take them very well. Clara Markova books, I love to use them in there as well. So those are some of my favorite places. All right, so what is pencil number 3? Well, let me show you. Now this one should be a surprise because these pencils I originally hated. Literally regretted them. If you look at my color pencil collection back in 2020, I talked about how much I hated these pencils. They are the Derwent Pro Color pencils. I now use these so much that I have purchased open stock replacements. And by the way, if you've ever used a Derwent Pro Color, they are wax-based, but they are very hard lead, very rough to get the pigment out of. However, one day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try these on a portrait for hair only, because I think they will help me flick and add in the layers and get a more realistic look. And they did. In fact, this one here is the first time I ever tried the Pro Colors on hair, and it turned out really well. This was my first time using them, so there are some errors in the hair, but I was like, wow, okay, these pencils could do a really good job creating hair. And even though the color range, you're like, well, are you going to make all those wacky hair colors? Yeah, I am. I have. I think there's only like a few colors I haven't used, and I'm trying to find a way to integrate them in. But this gal, for example, her hair is done with a Pro Color. Now, it took me a while to kind of refine my technique with them, but as you can see, the hair is just stunning the way it turns out with the Derwent Pro Color. They don't lose their point. I mean, these things are so hard, but they allow you to put down so many layers. And funny enough, after I did some research, I found that these were created for fine details like fur and hair. So, there you go. Coloring with them, I don't color with them much, if ever. I mean, it would require a bajillion layers, and y'all know I'm not a layering type. However, these are what I reach for first when coloring hair, and then I supplement with other brands if there's a color not quite there or I'm missing something. I'll go to my other brands to grab it. However, brown, I can make a brown just fine. But yes, I do really love the Derwent Pro Color. Highly recommend them if you want to do hair. In fact, I just did a blonde with them as well. One second. So here you go. I did a nice light blonde with my Pro Colors. Oh, it turned out beautiful. I can do this with any of my other brands as well, but I love my Pro Colors just because I can build up those layers. The rest of this one was, the skin was Prismacolor as usual. This was actually Pablos for everything else. So that one was kind of interesting, but yes, I love these things. I have open stock. Oh, and I also have the opportunity to put this back because I've been missing it. But I actually have some that are down to nubs, including my black. Look at that, it's so tiny. But that is definitely number 3, which is nuts because I was honestly about to chuck these things out the window and get rid of them. So that was a pleasant surprise for sure. So yes, Derwent Pro Color, definitely recommend them if you do a lot of portraits and you want something for hair or fur. If you're just doing general coloring, not so much. That said, they're really smooth. Despite being hard, you don't get anything scratchy, so they work on all sorts of paper, toothy or smooth cardstock alike. And so that is one thing I really do enjoy about them. Okay, now we're on to 4th. In the same monster case, because like I said, I want to keep them all together, the Black Widow. Now I can zoom you in a little more. So there are now 180 colors. I love it all. Some are kind of overlapping. I use these for general coloring, but most of the time I use these for hair and absolutely love the way they work for hair. Similar thing, the lead is a little harder, not as hard as the Pro Color, but it layers up quite nice when you're doing hair. This, for example, is a red hair I did with the Black Widow. Everything else is actually Polychromos. Fun fact. The skin might be Prisma, although it doesn't look like it. It looks darker than my normal Prisma. But I did the hair, and I have quite a few that I've done hair with my Black Widow on my wall. It's just kind of a pain to get those off the wall. But this is an example. Beautiful strokes that it creates. I mean, the color range is so massive that you're not without options. I mean, I can make a million browns. I can make a blonde, quite a few blondes. So I really do enjoy them. I've already had to purchase replacements for quite a few. As you can see, these are very well used. So I have replacements, and a few of these are actually already replacements of pencils I've gone through. The only thing I don't like about Black Widow, and that's why they're down at number 4, is because they're not open stock. Yes, you can contact the owner on Facebook, but when I say open stock, I want to order it at 2 in the morning and pay for it and get it right then and there. Right now, you have to message the owner on Facebook, you know, pay an invoice, and they ship, and you have to pay for shipping from Australia. It's not worth it. Just buy the tin that it comes in if you use them all. For me, it makes more sense to just buy the tin, and then I'll be going through all the colors in that tin. I do color with these as well. I just haven't as much, but I do want to get back into it. these work really well on Create Space paper. I tried it on a Teresa Goodridge one the other day, the newer paper that's, well, kind of crappy. And they did really well. But on the smooth Teresa Goodridge paper, I'm not as big of a fan on any smooth paper with the Black Widows, to be honest. And that is because they tend to get a little scratchy. Some of them can be. Others are really smooth. But yeah, it just kind of depends. So that is number 4. And number 5, well, number 5 is going to be an interesting one, but I'll grab it. Okay, number 5 is my Derwent Inktense pencils. Now there are 100. You cannot get the extra 28 in the US yet at the time I'm filming this, so please, before you leave a comment, if they are in the US, read the date that I just made this video. They should come to the US pretty soon. Right now you can get them from Cult Pens. However, I love Inktense. I don't use them enough, but they are one of my favorite pencils. I ended up using them quite a bit the last few months on some Kirby pages, and then I just finished a color along using the Inktense right here. So I activate my Inktense with a water brush, a colorless alcohol blender, or I will use a Tombow colorless blender. So depending on my mood, that's how I activate them. This was done with the alcohol marker, but I really like the versatility of these pencils. So they are number 5. Now, I did say top 5, but I want to put in a 6th one because I've been using it a lot the last couple months. So I don't want to leave them out yet, at least. So let me grab it. Number 6 is the Karandash Pablos. This would be another one that would kind of surprise people. So I initially purchased these, returned them because I thought they were scratchy and awful. And then I bought a set from Blick rather than Amazon and swatched them. And now these are a hard lead. So whenever someone says these are creamy, I'm like, what are we comparing these to? They're not soft, but they weren't scratchy like the first set I got. The color range is quite beautiful, to be honest. And I mostly use them for hair. For example, I colored this lovely gal, but I did all Pablos for this one just because I wanted to get a feel for the pencil. So right down to the skin tone. But yeah, I had done the hair and everything here. And I was kind of impressed because this is a very smooth cardstock and they did quite well. So I don't want to discount those Pablos like I showed you in this one here. Grab it again. I colored the flowers, butterflies, and all of these little extras with the Pablos as well. So they may move up on the list by next year because I've been using them more and more. It's just they're not quite there yet because I don't use them as often. But I do really enjoy them, and I love the color ranges. But again, most of the time I'm using these for hair. However, I'm starting to color with them. I haven't found a paper I enjoy in a coloring book. I do enjoy them on the cardstock that I use for my portraits, but I haven't found a coloring book page I like. I did try them in Clara Markova and absolutely hated them on that paper. Oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. I haven't tried them on the Maria Trolle ones yet, but I have a feeling they'll react the same because both of them have similar paper. But it's interesting because those have super smooth cardstocks. I print on a super smooth cardstock, however, it just performed better on here. And I'm not sure if it's because I was doing a portrait. I don't know. It's hard to say, but I am enjoying these Pablos. So I'm hoping I'll use them more and kind of be able to, maybe next year when I do another, my top 5, we'll see where they bump up in the list. I do have some honorable mentions that I'll just toss out there that I use from time to time, but not enough. Now my Karandash Luminance and Lightfast, you're probably wondering why aren't those here. They would most definitely be in my top 5 if I did more commissioned work. But because they are so expensive, you know, they're they're the best light fast pencils on the market. I use them very sparingly and only on some occasions. So I absolutely love those pencils. I love using them together. But yeah, it's just the fact I don't use them a ton because of the cost. So they are an honorable mention because if they were cheaper, they would definitely be in my top 5. Probably replace the Pablos. Well, Pablos aren't in there, but you know what I mean. They'd be moving up there a lot quicker. And then also my Brute Funer squares. I really do enjoy those pencils. I want to do some more tutorials with them. But the reality is I've been having a lot of issues with quality on my Brute Funer squares. The latest batches they've been sending out are not good. Way off center cores. Sharpening was a pain. So I've been using them, but I've been getting flustered, so I haven't been using them as much. But yeah, just to recap, my favorite is the Prismacolor. Number 2 is the Polychromos. I mean, those, honestly, those 2 sets of pencils, you could get away with anything. Number 3 is the Black Widow. No, sorry, the Pro Color. I was like, wait. Number 4 is the Black Widow. 5 is the Derwent Inktense. And then, of course, coming in close but just didn't make the cut was the Pablos. And then, of course, my honorable mentions. Like I said, hey, Lightfast and Lumi, lower your open stock price, and I will gladly use you constantly. And they would probably replace a few sets. Not my Pro Colors, though. Pro Colors are freaking amazing for hair. But yeah, that is why I have my favorite pencils and my most used in here. Inktense are in their own case just because I don't tend to mix them with pencils, whereas these I may pull colors to supplement from one another. So that's why they're not in the same case. My Luminance and Lightfast are in a case together though. But hopefully that helped answer my top 5 favorites. I'd love to know your top 5 favorites. Obviously, I don't base my favorites on price tag. I base them on enjoyability. Do I enjoy using the pencil? Does it bring me joy? Am I relaxed? I don't want to be all stressed about using a pencil. So if it means I have to spend more for a more enjoyable experience, I will. Prismacolor, honestly, I joke, but it's true. They really aren't that expensive. I find them to be kind of a budget-friendly pencil, in my opinion, because when you go to buy them open stock, it's like $1.12 a piece. So they're pretty inexpensive considering what you get for them. But obviously some of my favorites are more expensive, but it's all about their performance and the fact that they allow me to color the way I want to color, and I don't have to shift the way I color to suit a pencil. So that's why I do end up having some more of the expensive sets. I wish I could say a bunch of budget-friendly pencils were in my faves. I'll do a different video for my favorite budget-friendly pencils down the road though, just so you guys know. But this is just my top 5 ultimate out of my entire collection pencils I love, I use all the time, and will use, you know, in the next 5 minutes, actually, when I finish this video. So, thanks for hanging out with me, and until next time, take care. Bye now.